We are experiencing a time of transformation. How can we begin to rewrite our story? I'm Chelsea, and this is the Amara Ritual Podcast. Join me as we journey together through our inner landscape and begin to create outer change. Welcome back to the Amara Ritual Podcast and the second episode. It's funny because when I first started planning this podcast, I had the first few episodes completely mapped out. I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about, and since then, my plans have completely derailed, and I woke up this week with something else on my heart and on my mind that I felt needed to be shared because it often goes untalked about. I feel like it's a part of this path that a lot of people maybe don't express as much as it should be because it's not as glamorous. And to be honest, everyone goes through it. All of us. The truth behind following your heart is that it is not easy. That it literally, oh my God. We have to meet ourselves at so many of our edges, and it's a part of the process, and it's a part of the growth and the expansion that we experience that is inevitable, that goes hand in hand. It brings up so much fear, resistance, vulnerability. It requires so much courage and action to move through that fear. There might be others around us that are questioning what we're doing or may not understand that. This is why this process is so profound, because there's so much growth and expansion involved in it. Because often what's on the other side of our edge is what we're calling in, or what we are embodying or wanting to embody. It's almost like I'm seeing an image of this person climbing a mountain, and while it's really difficult and requires a lot of endurance and strength, the feeling that they have when they get to the top and they overcome their goal makes it all worth it. In order to expand, in order to follow our dreams, we have to meet our edges. If we stay in our comfort zone, we will stay. We will remain. And not to say there's anything wrong with that, but I truly believe that we are creators. And that's why we're here. We're here to create and evolve and grow. And I think this truth behind following our dreams, the reality, I think this is what holds a lot of people back or prevents them from following their hearts and settling. Is this fear? Is this contraction that we can feel before we step into something new? Before we have a tough conversation that we know is needed to have? Before we move to a new place that we know our heart is calling us, but we're going to have to change our lives completely? Before we start a new job or show up as our true selves in front of others that may not have seen those parts of us before? I believe it's going to get increasingly more difficult not to follow our hearts, not to follow those intuitive pulls or live from our soul or do the things that fulfill us and fill our cup. Because consciousness is expanding, it's evolving. We can see it. We can see it everywhere around us. I mean, look at the internet for one example of how consciousness is expanding at a rapid rate. And we are consciousness. We are a part of that. That's who we are. And consciousness is tired. It's tired of being put in a box. It's tired of being told what to do and to live a certain way. It wants to explore. It wants to grow and evolve and experience. That's what consciousness is here to do. That's what we are here to do. And so for those of us that are getting those pulls to something more, those pulls are going to become increasingly more difficult to ignore. And if we settle or if we stagnate, I don't believe that we will have any other choice but to follow them, because it becomes so painful to stay in that place. It becomes so stagnant. I'm literally seeing just stagnant, dirty water, because that's not who we are. But I think sometimes we live within systems and parameters that can make that difficult. Conditioning, beliefs, others' expectations or judgments, right? Our own expectations and judgments. And that's why so many people are asking themselves those questions right now of who am I? What brings me fulfillment and happiness? What is my purpose? Why do I feel like I'm trying to make it to the weekend or struggling with anxiety or depression? Why do I feel these heart pulls to something different? Or why do I feel uneasy in my body and my daily experiences? Why do I feel like there's something more? I know because I've been there too. I remember asking myself those same questions. I remember being in a career that I had worked so hard to get to, that on paper was literally my dream come true, and getting there and feeling so empty, feeling so disconnected from myself, having anxiety and panic attacks, waiting for the weekend so that I could be myself 2 days out of the week, and then have the Sunday scaries, dreading Monday morning. And while, yes, this may not be the worst thing in the world, but it eats at you. It eats at you. Until, if you're like me, you reach rock bottom and you're like, no more. No more. Because in that experience, I did. I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And I remember feeling there's more, there's more, there's more. I know it. It doesn't have to be this way. But sometimes this is where our journey begins. It doesn't always have to, but sometimes when we are in our darker, most painful moments, that is the threshold for change. And from there, I sought help. I went to talk to therapists and doctors who, while their intentions were great, I felt like they were treating the symptoms rather than the source. I just knew it in my heart. And thankfully, through friends, I was led to healers. And I remember working with this one healer, and she said to me, she looked at me, and I will never forget. She said, Chelsea, your soul does not have enough room in your body. Your soul does not have enough room in your body. And it hit me. And I realized that was the source. That was the source of all of it. So I went on this journey. I went on this journey of finding myself, of talking to my soul and asking, what do you want? And really getting clear, working with mentors, really getting clear on who am I? Not trying to seek something outside of myself, but really going inward and saying, who am I? What do I want? What lights me up? And from there, my entire life changed. And yes, I was following my heart. My anxiety went away. I felt like a brand new person, but not some new person that I created. I felt like me, my truest self. And having this awareness, once we have this awareness and understanding and embodiment of who we are, it becomes nearly impossible not to make choices and take actions from that place. Again, those pulls, those intuitive pulls, that inner knowing that when we don't follow it, it literally becomes unbearable. It is the root of our suffering, I believe, and I think that we stay there because of fear. So here I am in this new embodiment of my true self. I'm following my heart, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to have those tough conversations at the workplace and ask for what I need and ask for what I want and set boundaries and trust that if they can't be met, then I need to move on. Leaving a relationship that you know is no longer in alignment, or having those tough conversations and choosing to evolve together. And sometimes it means setting boundaries for yourself and those around you, which you may have not done before. And so when we follow our heart, the truth is that we have to be prepared for the immense amount of healing and change and transformation that also will take place. You know, transformation is beautiful. At the same time, it can be messy, it can be intense. And in those moments, sometimes all we have to rely on is trust. Trust in ourselves and this full surrender. And yes, it can be really intimidating and scary and vulnerable to have to make these choices or have these conversations or make these changes in life. Let me tell you, I am like the queen of resistance. Meeting our edges is not always easy, but it is part of the process. And we are creative beings, and that's literally why we're here. And the only thing standing in my way, and I think many of us can relate to this, was my own resistance. My own resistance of following through or taking action or doing the thing that I felt nervous or scared to do. That was the thing that was holding me back. And you know, when you realize that the thing that's standing in the way of you following your dreams is not some outside influence, that it's you, that's a hard pill to swallow. And so that's what I mean, that we are constantly having to meet our edges and see parts of ourselves that maybe we don't want to look at. But I'm so glad that I did, because without that, I wouldn't be here today. And it's not to say that I still don't move through resistance. I do all the time. Every time I meet a new edge or try something new, that yes, my heart's calling to, but maybe there's a discomfort in the unknown or the newness, right? And sometimes you have to do it scared. And the more that I do it, the easier that it gets. It's true. And the more expansion that unfolds, and the more you see the process and you become better at it and you start to understand it. And then you start to build more trust in surrendering into that. Because experiencing what's on the other side of any fear or resistance that's coming up, that's what makes it all worth it. That is the reward. And when you are in alignment with your true self, magic unfolds. When you move through that resistance, woo! Let me tell you, magic unfolds. That beyond our wildest dreams, things can happen, that we can experience feelings beyond our wildest dreams, experiences, people. Things start shifting in and out into place, almost like a Tetris game. You become this co-creator of your life, and not from this place of thinking that I should do this and then winding up there and feeling empty or unfulfilled. When it's from this place of wholeness, you wind up there And you're like, wow, this is it, this is it, this is it. Thank you. Thank you for doing all that hard work. Thank you for trusting. Thank you. We feel fulfilled. We feel in our power. We feel connected. And we are an inspiration not only to ourselves, but we become an inspiration to others. Others can feel it. You radiate differently. And it's not to say that we're trying to arrive somewhere or reach something outside of us to fulfill us, right? That fulfillment comes from within. So, what's helped me in moving through my own process of following my heart? Having community and friendships and support of others who are also on this same journey where we can connect and talk about our experiences. And sometimes other people won't understand, whether it's friends or family or coworkers, and that's okay. You don't need them to understand. And that's not the case for everyone. But they may not understand this new version of you or why you're doing the things you're doing. But you understand why. And sometimes the choices that we make from the outside looking in might look like a regression. They might look like we're going backwards, but in reality, we're being slingshotted towards where we're going and who we are. And there might be times where things are shifting so much, where you are going through such big transformations, where you do feel like, am I going back in time? Is this the right choice? But you have to have so much belief in yourself and conviction in your inner knowing, right? And you'll know in your heart is your guide and your compass, whether something feels right or not. Having mentors who have been there too and can say, been there, done that, who truly understand and have their own wisdom from their own lived experiences. Seeing the patterns and the repetition of whenever I've had to meet an edge, I am always, always experiencing expansion and fulfillment on the other side. And the more that you do this, the more that you experience this, the more that you begin to trust that process. And doing this over and over helps build the nervous system, right? Helps the nervous system learn, okay, I am safe to do this again. And it doesn't have to be giant leaps or huge decisions or choices. This can be baby steps, little actions, conversations, changes within your day, within your schedule, trying new things, right? And the more that we do this, the more we become comfortable doing this. Or I could even say being comfortable with any discomfort that arises. And something that's really helped me is having practices and rituals that allow you to tap in again, to tap into that innate part of yourself, to your soul, to feel truly empowered in yourself. Like for me, that's dancing and music and movement. Could even be going on a walk or really like connecting with nature. It's going to be different for everyone, right? But once you find those things are your support system. And they're so important and they're so powerful. And for me, like with movement, I can shift my energy in a matter of minutes. If I'm feeling nervous or scared, I can move my body and I can move that. So yes, follow your heart. It's all worth it. It's all worth it. And it's literally the most magical experience we can have. It's literally why we're here. Consciousness is ready. You are ready. And yes, you're going to meet yourself. You're going to face your deepest parts of yourself. But that's part of the beauty of it. It's not negative per se. It's part of the process. And this this creation process that we're all relearning. It's like we're relearning how to walk and how to talk and navigate in these uncharted waters that for some of us it's brand new. For some of us, we've been doing it for a while. For some of us, we are about to embark on that journey, but no matter what, it is the journey that we're here to take. So if I can support you in my process, I'll be talking a lot more about this topic. And I would love to hear about your process and how it's been going for you, because I think it's important to remember that we're not alone. And that while our experiences, yes, can be unique to ourselves, that we are all going through them, sometimes in our own ways, right? So thank you. Thank you. I hope that you receive some nuggets of inspiration on following your heart, and I will see you next time on the Amara Ritual podcast.